Ladies and gentlemen, we are the minority. Did you know? We have been taken over by these normies, these new people checking out anime. And you know what? I'm glad they're checking out anime, right? I think a lot of people are very gatekeepy towards these tourists. And I believe that there is an appropriate measure that needs to be taken against tourists if they're coming in with this hostile intent of completely restructuring the fandom and the community culture that the anime community is, stands for, right? So there's definitely nuance there. I don't really have a problem with, Netflix basically showing us statistics that 50% of all worldwide users now watch anime, right? And of those people, 150 million households, anime viewership has tripled in 5 years, but 80 to 90% watch dubbed, right? And listen, I know that a lot of people get triggered and say, it's gotta be Japanese dub only. I still do believe Japanese voice acting is better than, English voice acting on average. I believe that the elite environment that exists in Japan that procures and trains the talent is fundamentally different compared to the international. Doesn't mean that there aren't good English voice actors. It's just that this the average, like competency of, voice actor, I think is just better in Japan. But to a normie, completely new people checking out anime, they don't want to read subtitles. They just want to, listen to a language that they're familiar with. So even if they don't know what they're, missing out on, as long as they're able to enjoy the same stories that we enjoy, I don't think there's any harm to it.
Netflix says 50% of all their worldwide users now watch anime. 150 million households. Anime viewership has tripled in 5 years since 2020, and 80 to 90% watch dubbed anime, aka in English dubbed. And at the exact same time that this announcement was made, we had this announcement. Solo Leveling, the global phenomenon, is coming to Netflix as a live-action series. This is
he's a pretty good looking guy, man. This is gonna be Sung Jin-woo. I think that Netflix in doing live action is not a unique thing, right? So honestly, this should have been expected.
The actor that is gonna be playing Jin.
Hopefully, it's gonna be not botched like what they did with Kakegurui, right? I think that there is a Japanese live action of the gambling anime that was pretty good, but the international one, you saw the trailer, right? You saw what they were doing. It's just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Woo, and the upcoming live action of Solo Leveling, and I'm just...
What? Tell me how you're feeling, man.
It's... That's my reaction. Like,
okay.
Oh boy, guys.
Tell me how you're feeling.
There's just so much to unpackage about this announcement, Tim, and the live action announcement. There's just... Before I get into that, I gotta remind everybody. 2 months ago, back in May, it was announced that most people that use Crunchyroll watch anime dubbed than subbed. It was
basically English dub rather than reading subtitles. Because again, I think a lot of people live in these echo chambers thinking that because of the people that we associate ourselves with and the way that we consume content, that we think that everyone else must do the same thing. Nah, everyone lives in their little echo chambers and bubbles. Take a step outside and you'll realize that many people, the average person, they don't care about that shit. They don't care about how the Japanese voice acting may sound more, how it's basically when you think about anime, you just think about the source content and how the passion of voice acting from Japanese voice actor is the way that it should be experienced. But many people don't care about that. They just want to have something happening in the background. It's background noise. If it's English dub, then they can kind of listen to it while doing other things, and that's how they consume content. You can call them a crayon eater, you can do all these gatekeeping, but the reality is not going to change. And the faster you understand what the perspective of the average person is, the faster you won't, be mad or angry and confused about, why is the world the way it is?
Statistically given out by Crunchyroll themselves. They told us that most people that use their site just watch dub. They do not watch it in Japanese with English subtitles. And obviously there was a lot of people that talked about this, and it came as quite the shock, because it's like, wait, what? Really? There's that many people that prefer to watch anime and dub?
And that's how out of touch the anime community is. Because again, we act like we are some sort of elite gatekeepers of this holy garden, when in reality there's way more people consuming anime compared to this hardcore niche of people, and they experience it in a completely different way.
Instead of the traditional Japanese audio with English subtitles. But then now we got 2 months later that Netflix is the exact same way, and we get a statistic of the numbers to a degree. It's Yeah, if you've ever wanted definitive proof that you are the minority in the anime community, this is it. Like, if
Yeah, and there's no reason to be upset about it. There's no reason to be mad about it. If more people are able to enjoy the same stories that we enjoy, but albeit in a different audio, go ahead. More power to them. As a content creator, though, I have to kind of start thinking ahead and being like, maybe we should start doing dubbed reaction, guys. Maybe I'd start a brand new anime channel where we only do English dub reaction. I mean, that's basically what Kaka TV2 is with the cartoon stuff, but this is reality, man. This is what's going on. And if you're gonna get mad at this, you're basically the out of touch boomer getting mad that these new young people coming in to the scene is just like wrong. What's wrong with the youth these days? You know, back in my days, that's what you're sounding like.
you are a English sub, okay, watcher, an enjoyer, you're a minority now. You are legitimately someone that is in the small fraction of the community, while the vast majority will watch the dub version. Now,
As an Asian person that grew up as the only Asian person in high school in a white dominated area, I'm also an immigrant. Listen, being a minority, that's been my fucking life. So I guess to other people that's always scared about, you know, them being like the normative default majority, this is a shock, huh? Welcome to my fucking life.
I'm going to say this before we go any further, okay, in this video. No hate on English dub. I do enjoy English dub from time to time. I mean, I prefer personally Dragon Ball in English dub. I prefer Yu Yu Hakusho in English dub.
Because those are shows that Chibi probably grew up listening and watching in English dub. Right? And I want you to think about that for a second. It's not because... listen, people that watch like Cowboy Bebop or like, you know, Samurai Champloo or other shows that are basically existing outside of this traditional Japanese high school setting, there's an argument to be made that, oh, contextually it sounds better that it's English dub. I don't really argue one way or the other. I think thematically it may make more sense, but I think Japanese voice acting is elite, so it's going to be good either way. But this is it, right over here. Most people listen to English dub as the first thing that they watch, and they stick with it. Just how Chibi is confirming that these shows that he probably, again, grew up watching on fucking TV, right? Through whatever TV network, right? Late night. That's why all these new people watching anime, that's how they're watching, and that's why they're not changing. From the beginning, they've experienced anime in English dub, right? So it's very hypocritical to be like, oh, you must watch it in this other way, when we clearly, you know, the original, you know, nostalgia factor, the original way that we consume something is the default normative way someone is going to consume something.
Yasha. I prefer Panty and Stalking in English dub. You get the point. There is anime that I legit do like in English, okay? Besides the Japanese audio. However, the point of the matter is that to see the overwhelming amount of people that watches things in dub, but then accompany this with what we have seen in the last few years with just what's been happening to the anime culture itself and manga culture, there is definitely a correlation. And this correlation is there has been a massive influx of new watchers into the anime and manga community.
Absolutely, and I think the big, you know, critical mass turning point was, again, during 2020, man. When Demon Slayer went popping off during COVID times, during lockdown, and everyone's inside and they're all just consuming, I do think that a paradigm shift happened there.
That it is hit into the mainstream. It is never going back to that niche hobby that it once was. And let's kind of, you know, clear the air. Let's explain that. In the 80s, 90s, 2000s, late 2000s, early 2010s, and even the late 2010s, okay? Right before Demon Slayer really kicked off.
Exactly, man. Blame Demon Slayer for everything, bro. You want to blame something for like everything becoming brain rotten and becoming crayon eaters and mainstream people coming in? It's Demon Slayer, baby.
Anime was still considered a niche hobby. It was a niche form of entertainment. There was a big community, but nowhere near what we have today. Like, it was nowhere near what it is right now.
Yeah, the social acceptance of anime back in those days is not the same as what it is now. You get bullied and, you know, you be stereotyped into being creepy, you know, fat, you know, neckbeard to consume all these ecchi, degenerate content. And there is some partial truth into it, right? But that's kind of like the state of the scene back in the day, right? And because of that, the anime community is the way it is. It's a bunch of social rejects and outcasts that's bonded together, you know, gathering around this common hobby. And That's why the anime fandom, right? A lot of people take pride in being a degenerate, right? And they also say, oh, tourists, gay kept that, gay kept this, when we're talking about, you know, the sexualization of lollies and stuff like that. These are the uncomfortable truths that just exist. Let's just be completely honest, right? And from now, I guess a brand new influx of people to come in, and definitely I do argue against like the woke localization or like the subs being changed from the Crunchyroll people compared to what the original author was intending in order to further their Western ideologies onto an anime that never even wanted to talk about anything about that. I think that's wrong, right? There's a lot of stuff that I think should be gatekept. But if people want to watch anime in dub, more power to them. Great, it doesn't hurt my experience. I'm gonna consume it the way that I want to. Maybe in terms of content creation, I gotta think about a different way of being more inclusive towards a different target audience and a different market. But people enjoying anime dub like that, again, if this article never even came out, you would never even know about it, and your personal experience watching anime would not change. This is not a big deal. It's just like a little thing that you should be aware of.
And basically, the vast majority of people that viewed anime looked at anime as children's shows. They looked at it as cartoons. They looked at it as something meant for kids. They didn't view anime as something meant for adults.
I thought that most people thought that anime just kind of meant creepy, weird, perverted shit based on, you know, ecchi scenes and clips out of context. But there definitely are people that underestimate anime and think that like this is not deep storytelling and this is, you know, for kids. Yeah, I've heard that takes too.
Now, obviously, I know how stupid that sounds, but that was what a lot of people viewed anime as for a very, very long time. Then you fast forward to the end of the 2010s, 2019, 2020, etc., COVID era, and you have a bunch of new people diving into the anime for the first time because.
And the demographic of that audience also matters, right? A bunch of Generation Z as well as Generation Alpha kids, you know, growing up watching this medium. This is not the same unks, the millennials and the Gen X's that grew up watching this shit back in the 80s and 90s. A different people that have never been introduced to anime, or the stigma and the social stereotypes that existed back in the day that Chibi's talking about are now coming into the scene, right? Majority of it, I think they're definitely the biggest demographic part of it. Not saying that new millennials and Gen X aren't joining in, but I think that the younger population, the kids, right? They're definitely the ones coming in and being able to kind of experience this for the first time.
Because obviously there was a lot of free time with COVID, people were able to sit down and just start binging things. So they sat down, they watched Demon Slayer, they sat down, they watched AJK, they sat down, they watched, you know, Chainsaw Man. You get the point. And this led into a lot of influx of new people that have never really experienced anime culture or never would have experienced anime culture if not for them not having anything else to do. Because they were not able to do anything and they could only stay home for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, this is lockdown time, right? That's why also why Genshin Impact succeeded the way that it did. I think Genshin Impact's success would not be the same if it wasn't for the lockdown. And not even just Genshin Impact. So many content creators, content creation careers, YouTube channels, video games, shows, whatnot, online businesses, e-commerce, they all thrived so hard during that time when everything was locked down because people could only exist online.
In the world, a lot of people were like that. They sat and watched anime. So people that would have never have given a second glance or even a look at anime sat down and watched anime, which has evolved to where now anime has become very mainstream. Now, I want to make sure this is very clear. There is good and bad about anime becoming mainstream.
Like with anything, right? Don't take absolute stances. Everything exists in a spectrum and likelihoods and, you know, just like there's good and bad with anything.
Some of the good aspects of this is that certain projects that are really deserving of getting funding get funded, and they get some fantastic art and animation. For instance, regardless of personal issues behind the scenes or what's under the hood with production issues or overworking of animators, etc., there has been more consistent or at least higher quality anime in the last 5 years than I think we've ever seen. However,
I don't know if that's the case or not, though. Right, and as a seasonal anime warlord that's consuming literally everything that comes out in order to make content out of it, it's hard for me to agree with that or not because I don't have a statistical study comparing what happened in the past, right? Because I didn't watch these seasonal animes back in the 2010s and the 2000 whatever, right? So like it's hard for me to kind of just is that true or not? It's for me, it's just I see so much garbage slop coming out that it's hard for me to believe that this is true. And the whole sentiments, the common talking point that like, back in the day, anime quality, even if the fidelity of the art, whatever, is not as polished, the fact that the animation, the quality was always there, like, I don't know. Is that true or not? Who knows?
However, in the last 5 years, we have probably seen some of the worst animation and art and production health of any anime in the history of anime, honestly, in the last 5 years. So there is some of the best highs we've ever seen and some of the lowest lows we've.
And it makes sense, right? Again, why? Because the bigger something gets, the more exaggerated, you know, these extreme outliers are gonna be, right? That's just gonna happen with anything. It's just like taken to 1% of the spectrum, right? On the right side of the fucking distribution curve and the left side of the distribution curve, right? Of it being the polar opposites. The more that you have, again, 1% of 100 is 1. 1% of 1,000 is 10. 10,000 is 100. See? So like both sides, you're gonna get more good peaks and you're gonna get more shitters too.
I've ever seen, honestly, in terms of just how anime is made or how anime is presented. But what I will say is that despite the good, there is a lot of bad that has accompanied this.
All right.
And I've went on record and I've talked about this already in multiple videos, but I'm going to reiterate them right here.
Let's hear
it. For one,
it.
the big issue about anime becoming mainstream, and it's the big elephant in the room, is that big companies that do not care about the culture of anime and manga are going to look at it and see it as a money sign.
Yeah, because that's what corporations are going to do, right? So what does that mean? Does that mean that companies are basically going to turn anime into something that's unrecognizable in order to appease this new majority group coming in? Therefore, anime is ruined forever? Is that what you're saying?
We've already seen this. It's already happening. I mean, Netflix is a good example of this. I mean, let's just look at this.
Okay. Listen, I think this argument is pretty weak there. Because you were never a live action fan. Dude. You like listen, these projects, it's for a different audience. Who gives a fuck? Straight up. That's my take on live action movies. No actual like hardcore anime fan cares that much about live action films because from the beginning it was just fucking garbage. You want to pump more of this shit out for a different audience? That's content I was never going to consume in the first place. Is this project existing going to then, I don't know, bottleneck maybe other maybe like we could think of it in like, because these projects are being greenlit, we are no longer getting other projects that we would normally consume, therefore bad. It is a take that I could go along with, but like this shit, honestly, it does not impact me. Who gives a fuck?
Soul Leveling getting a live action, One Piece getting a live action, you know, Bleach getting a live action, Death Note getting a live action. You get the point, okay? When you see these very popular franchises getting live actions, the reason why it's being done is because these
money
companies, like say like Netflix.
Why is anything ever being done in the world to make a profit? Why do these companies exist? To make a product and sell it, right? It's just that simple.
Netflix sees anime as profitable, and so they will put these series or the culture on like a skin suit, wear it, not understanding actually why people like anime or manga or these series in general, and they'll wear it like a skin suit, slap the name of the series on it, and think that it's going to sell.
And it will sell to a different market of audience that we are not part of. They are free to do whatever they want. Like, I honestly see nothing wrong with this, is what I'm saying right now. Because from the beginning, we would never consume this. This is not for us. And if other people find value and joy out of live actions, great, go enjoy it. I don't care. That is independent of my experience as an anime enjoyer.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And with how many of these live actions keep coming out, if it's not a money laundering scheme of some kind by Netflix or other companies, then legitimately there is a vast amount of people that legitimately are enjoying these live action adaptations.
Great, right? And listen, I'm gonna think that you're probably a little special, and I'm sure they think that we're special too, right? But like, if you want to enjoy it, again, go have fun. How does that impact me?
Either through hate watching or not. And once again, looking at the statistics of how a lot of people watch anime and they even watch them in dub, I'm willing to bet a lot of these people are very silent watchers as well.
Yeah,
probably
silent
love
majority.
The live actions. And what this basically means is that there is a vast disconnect between the OG anime and manga community and the new community that is forming. And these companies are using these products and these different things to just get as much money as possible and suck the life out of the culture of anime and manga.
No. Listen. Companies wanting to profit off of this new majority group, off of making live actions and other dub projects, has no fucking impact on this OG community. I don't understand this take. Again, if the argument is that by funding these projects it's taking away from the OG community's, content that we're consuming, then I could definitely see, yeah, that sucks. We're no longer getting, enough anime projects being greenlit because the fundings are all going towards, live actions and in order to appease that market. In that context, I'd be like, that is actually harmful, right? You're no longer caring about, the original group in order to appease the majority. But that's what's a business gonna do. I just don't see how live actions getting greenlit somehow is the death of the anime community, because those people, those new people coming in, they can have fun, they can enjoy their shit, and we can enjoy our shit too. We can coexist. We don't need to integrate with each other. If they want to come over and enjoy the Japanese subs, then go ahead, that'd be fine too. But it's just like, I don't understand this live action take.
And we got to look at the current state of Hollywood. Hollywood is in a disastrous state. Anyone that watches movies and pays attention to it knows how much of a disaster it is currently.
Yeah, I don't really keep up with the movie scenes, but I constantly see, the downfall of Marvel. Oh my god, so many fucking woke, DEI characters, movies based on heroes that no one cares about, and it's just a fucking wash, bro. That's kind of like the takes that I've been hearing recently.
They are fresh out of ideas, having to copy a lot of things, regurgitate things. It's terrible. And when you take a hard look at anime, it's fresh. It is. To a global audience, anime is fresh. So what these big companies like in Hollywood see, they see anime is fresh, it's hip with the kids, new generation, and it's booming. So obviously they want to pick up all these different titles that are very big and get their own slice of the pie, turn them into a live action, which defeats the whole purpose of anime.
What is the purpose of anime, though? It's just artistic expression. Listen, this is a free market, though. This is just pure business, right? Let him continue.
Now, some things can be good in live action, but I feel like it misses the point. The reason why anime became popular and these series became popular is because it's anime. It's because it's manga. Live action kind of misses the point.
It's always missed the point. Is Chibi basically saying that these live actions are supposed to, like... I don't get this take. I genuinely don't. Live action from the beginning is something everyone shit on, calling it cringe and weird. It was never meant for our audience. It's meant for someone completely else. And if they want to enjoy that shit, go ahead. I don't give a fuck. His point is Hollywood skips over COVID and actor strikes. What? What are you talking about? Like, listen. Could you not, let's think about this for a second. Again, the only, logical conclusion that I can come with this again is how projects like this being greenlit is taking away resources from the content and the projects that would appease the original anime community. That I could understand. Could you also not then kind of use logic and say, because these corporations are profiting off of new market audience by using these live actions, and if they're making a return on investment onto it, doesn't that basically mean there's more resources potentially that could, again, and this is a very, very generous way of thinking, which I probably don't even agree with, but let's just think about that for a second. They made bank on these live action movies, they got more resources, now maybe they're gonna reinvest that into, content licensing deals and securing other projects that's gonna be just beneficial for the original and the, dub and join community. I just don't know. I genuinely don't understand. You think he's trying to say that it'll mess with the perception of the series since they'll change many things from the source material? Who gives a fuck though? Straight up. Who cares what those tourists think? Who cares what wow, Solo Leveling as a live action came out and it's so different from the OG and many people enjoyed it, but many people also have a different opinion about it. I don't give a fuck about what they think about Solo Leveling. I care about what our community thinks about Solo Leveling, of the people that actually watch the original anime. To care about these normies and the tourist opinions about something, to think that our series are getting tarnished, this has no impact. I just don't understand. None of this shit, it's totally separate communities, totally separate projects. None of this shit has any impact on us.
And I think that in general, we are seeing an increase of these different companies just diving into the culture, not trying to understand it, and trying to change it, mold it into the new Hollywood. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, and that's gonna happen in any business, right? A corporation finds some sort of niche or some sort of potential in this new, emerging market, and they're going to do everything to make money off of it. There's nothing you can do because that's just what happens in open market capitalism. That's the society that we live in. no matter what happens though, no matter how much they make live actions though, that does not damage the original community. Other than you thinking what these normies are gonna think of, I don't get it. There definitely is like a bad taste, right? There is like a I guess like a bad feeling that we're getting done dirty, that they're not doing this for the love of the game, that they don't care about this series. Of course they don't give a fuck about this series, bro. They're just fucking making random live actions. So like I guess it comes down to like a moral and an ethical and a passion argument about, you have no love for this series. How dare you make content that the original community would never even watch? I just don't see it. I just don't see it, bro.
And I feel like a lot of people are seeing this. It's a continuous thing. And when I take a hard look at the situation,
the Hollywood example, I think, is fundamentally different from this, right? Because the Hollywood example is, there's a lot of movie enjoyers. There's a lot of OG, Avengers, Endgame, Marvel being the peak, right? Those people, right, absolutely are getting shit on right now. How are they getting shit on? Because the movies coming out are no longer appeasing them. In this specific example, the original community is getting fucked because Hollywood is making movies no longer for them, for someone else. The anime example, you can't apply the same concept because the original community is independent off of this live action Hollywood bullshit. Now again, if you use the logic that somehow every producers are going to stop making anime, right? The only example that this makes sense is in a reality where producers, Kadokawa, Kodansha, whatever, every one of them, they're no longer make anime. Nope, they're not gonna make anime anymore. Everyone is just gonna make live actions for this new emerging market of dub enjoyers. In that example, yeah, that does ruin everything. But that's not the reality that we're living in, right? That's why logically this doesn't make sense to me.
it makes me sad because, as I already said, we are the minority. We are the minority now. It's very obvious. The old anime community that was pre-COVID, we are small. We are like a dot in a giant circle now at this point.
Who cares?
And it explains why there's so many issues that keep arising, why there's so many people that are hell-bent on buzzwording you or calling you different things if you watch a certain series. Let's say Mushoku Tensei, for instance. It's because there are people that never cared about anime. They just watched it to dive into it because it became popular.
Yeah.
And they don't care actually about its history or anything behind it or why it is like it is, Japanese culture in general.
I don't think that someone needs to be able to understand all these, like, I don't know, this comes off extremely pretentious and elitist about this, right? I just feel like, dude, it's just fucking cartoons, bro. If someone wants to watch Dan Da Dan dub and have a good time, they don't need to fucking have a test of like, are you really an otaku? Are you really a weeb? Can you answer what nani means? What does masaka mean? What happened on this day and that? Like, what are we doing here, bro? I just don't. They can enjoy their shit. We can enjoy our shit. Nothing fucking matters.
They don't care. And it's sad to see anime in this state. It is really sad to see anime evolving and becoming like the next Hollywood and the next gaming community. That is what is becoming. And it really saddens me to see.
I think this is a problem that is inevitable in any industry though, right? Again, this is not like an anime specific thing. The reason why video games, movies, TV shows, anime, stuff like this is becoming like that, that's just how late stage capitalism works, man. Corporations just swoop in and want to profit the most out of something, and they have a bunch of stupid ass fucking marketing teams and data analytics that tells them, oh, this is exactly what we got to do to make the most out of it. And they'll just kind of, they're basically just, they're just parasites. They just come in and just suck the living soul out of it. But in this specific context, like I just think it's fundamentally different from the Hollywood movie situation, because the original anime community that watches anime and the producers that make the content is independent of all this live action stuff. Again, if an example where no longer are we gonna get any anime that we were watching, we're only gonna get English dub anime and we're only gonna get live action, then yeah, I would say this is fucked up. Y'all are doing us dirty who's been here since the beginning, and this is no longer, representing what we want. In that reality, absolutely agree. But is that the reality that we're actually living in? I don't think so. That's pretty much it. This video, I think, is a nothing burger in terms of like, oh my god, the end of anime is here. No. Producers are gonna keep pumping out anime that's intended for the domestic audience, right? That's the thing. All these different animes. You think like Japan gives a fuck about these live action bullshit? I don't think so, because these animes, do you know what greenlights like like seasons and beyond? Domestic performance, domestic like viewership and sales and blah blah blah. And all this shit is not meant for these new people unless they want to watch some mainstream stuff with English dub. Again, I just feel like if they want to watch anime and dub and they want to watch live action stuff, go ahead. Y'all do your thing and we do our things. But if there is a reality where suddenly we can no longer have this segregated community and that like we have to have everyone just like watching only English dub and live action because that is the majority, in that instance, I agree with Chibi. I think that's fucked up, but that's not the reality we live in. I don't know. I just feel like we're just dooming. I don't think like... I don't think people are logically thinking, right? The gatekeeping has failed, prepare for the worst, anime becoming means like, how does this affect you? This shit doesn't affect you. Maybe I'm being ignorant. But I feel like I'm really trying to apply just sensible logic and reasonability. This is not the end of the anime, you know, that we know. This is just new people coming in and other projects being greenlit for that new people that we were never going to watch from the beginning. And as long as the resources are not being taken away from what we enjoy, I don't think it really matters, man. Please check out Chibi's video. Here's a link to the video. Go give it a like or comment on it with your own opinions if you care about it. I'll see you next time.